Hi, this is Elena with Black Sheep 303 Creative, and my project today is for the Elizabeth Craft Designs blog. I have created these two for one, if you will, hot chocolate cards using alcohol lift-off ink. So to start off with, here's the alcohol lift ink. Well, I guess it's lift ink, not lift-off ink. I'm going to set that to the side because first I have to do my background. So I have a piece of Yupo paper. Yupo is a non-porous synthetic paper. It's very thin. I think it's basically plastic. And it works really well with alcohol inks. So I've grabbed a bunch of different blue and purple shades, and I'm just going to drip them onto this piece of Yupo. It's 5x7, and this is the regular weight, not the heavy base weight, in case you're wondering. And you can see I'm just dripping the alcohol ink onto this paper, trying to get a wide variety of colors, and you can see how some of them react with the other alcohol inks as they hit the paper. And then I'm going to take my little alcohol blending tool right there and add some blending solution to it, and now I'm just tapping onto the Yupo, and I'm twisting my hand, or like the tool in my hand, as I tap it so that I don't like sort of repeat the same pattern over and over as I'm tapping it down. And then I'm going to just continue adding different shades of the blues and purples onto this to try to get, I don't know, a really good looking, fairly saturated background. And you can see how it changes as you add new colors, and the size of the dots changes it. And I was just experimenting and kind of having fun, and really you never know what you're going to get. And until it dries, it's really kind of an unknown. And there I dripped a couple dots of color directly onto my tool, and then I'm like tapping it, and it makes little tiny dots. Now here's the dried Yupo, and you can see it's really dark, really saturated. Like the color is a lot more vibrant than what it looked like there when it was still wet. Now I'm using the Snowflakes clear stamp set from Elizabeth Craft Designs, and I'm going to be basically stamping from the Yupo onto this piece of white soft finish cardstock. Now the Yupo is non-porous. This is very important. It's the only thing that will work with this alcohol lift ink, and I'm going to stamp it onto a porous surface so that cardstock is porous. So I've inked up the stamp with the alcohol lift ink, pressing it down onto the Yupo. I'm going to switch it out quickly, and then I'm going to stamp the stamp down. You can see the color is on the stamp from the Yupo paper. And there I have a nice stamped image. And I did kind of mess up the middle of that a little bit, but no big deal. And now I'm going to take a clean paper towel, and I'm going to dab at the stamped image on the Yupo paper. And every time I dab it, I'm changing the paper towel so it's a clean piece of paper towel, because each time I'm lifting up the ink. And then once I've got all the wet ink off, I just buff it with another clean paper towel, and you can see how it creates that lifted, ghosted image on the Yupo. And so I'm going to just continue doing this over and over with all of the stamps in that Snowflake stamp set, just transferring them from the Yupo paper onto my white background piece, and then buffing out, or dabbing and buffing out the image on the Yupo. So I wind up with two backgrounds. Now I want to warn you that it's very important that if you're going to use any stamp more than once, which I did do, you're going to have to very thoroughly clean that stamp in between the stampings. You have to get all of the alcohol ink off of each stamp before you stamp it again, or the color that is on the stamp will get on your alcohol lift ink pad, which you don't want. And it will also interfere with the colors that you're pulling off of the Yupo. So just be aware of that. I would suggest getting some archival ink cleaner rather than StazOn, which is what I used, and it did not work so great. Now I did want to try stamping this just using not a stamp positioner, just using a stamp pad to see how it would go, because I was getting a little frustrated between the big size of the Yupo paper and the smaller size of the cardstock and the MISTI. So I tried doing it by hand, and I'll be honest, it did not work so well. The stamped image is fine on the white, but you'll see that when I stamped it down on the Yupo is kind of slick. And as I dab this up and buff it off, you'll see that the image is kind of blurred and smooshed from how the stamp slipped a little bit when I hit the paper with the stamp. So I would suggest using a stamp positioner with this. I think it's just a better idea. Now for my die cut images, I'm using the hot chocolate die set there on the left. I've got 2 mugs, 2 of the small steam curls, 2 of the whipped cream tops, 2 of the whipped cream drift lines, 2 of the candy cane bases, and 2 of the candy cane overlay pieces. And those have double-sided adhesive sheet on the back of them, so they're stickers. That's why they're stuck on that piece of release sheet. Now to add some shading to these elements so they stand out from the backgrounds, I'm taking my Spectrum Noir markers. This is my IG2, and I'm going along the right side of the mug and the bottom of the mug and then the undersides of the handle. This is Whisper Blue soft finish cardstock, and then and that was IG2, and then this is IG5, and this is a piece of In the Navy cardstock from Gina K Designs, this mug. So same deal, I'm just adding shading down the right hand side and the bottom and then the undersides of the handles. And then on those little steam curls, I'm going to add a little bit of shading to the underside of the upper curl and then the outside of the lower part of it with the IG2 marker. This is all just to help them stand out from the background a little bit and give them a little bit of character as well. And super easy to do with markers. Now for my whipped cream pieces, I'm using BG1 initially. So this is a brown gold. So I wanted it to look a little bit like the hot chocolate had melted into the whipped cream. So I went over the embossed line, rim line of the mug on this whipped cream drip line, and then I went around the edges with the BG1. And then I will do the same on the whipped cream, go around all the edges, and then do the little embossed lines across the center of it. And that seemed too light in the end once it dried, so I decided to go over it the exact same way with my BG2, and that actually looked quite a bit better. So you'll see here in a second what they all look like once I've added the very, very simple and easy shading to these. There you go. Really, really basic, nothing fancy. For my greetings, I'm stamping Happy Hot Chocolate Season from the Cute Winter Sentiments clear stamps from Elizabeth Craft Science. I'm going to stamp it twice, obviously, for the 2 cards. So the first time I'm stamping it onto a piece of 85 pound white soft finish cardstock. It's about 3 by 3. And I'm stamping it in Gina K Designs Red Velvet ink. And then I'm going to stamp it a second time onto Red Velvet cardstock using Versamark ink, because I'm going to heat emboss this. So I'm going to emboss it in white embossing powder. So I stamped it in Versamark, which is a clear sticky ink that the embossing powder will stick to, as you see here. And I'm going to just clean up this area a little bit and then set it with my heat tool to get a nice white on red image. And then I will die cut both of these out using the smallest rectangle in the Dotted Scallop Rectangles die set to create a couple of cute little sentiments for the fronts of my cards. And there you go. They are ready to go. Now here are all my elements. I've got a side folding white card base, A2 sized. I have die cut down both the Yupo and the white background papers using the second largest die in the stitched rectangles die set, as you see here. And then for the white background piece, I have a top folding A2 size card base out of the same denim blue. Oh, it's denim blue cardstock, not in the navy. Sorry about that. So I'm going to set kind of each of the pieces with each of the cards, and I'm going to assemble them together. So I'm only going to do this once. You won't have to watch me do it twice. I do them both exactly the same way. Now I've got 6mm adhesive on the back of the snowflake panel, and I'm adhering this into the center front of the blue denim blue card base. And now I'm just kind of, I'm going to adhere the candy cane overlay onto the candy cane base, so that overlay piece has double-sided adhesive on the sheet on the back of it, so it's a sticker, so it sticks really nicely to the red base. And now I'm just kind of deciding how I want to arrange this on the card front, and I decide to arrange it so the mug is sort of pointing to the upper right corner. I've got 3mm adhesive on the back of the candy cane, so I'll adhere that down first. I've got 6mm clear double-sided adhesive tape on the whipped cream top, adhere that down. Then my mug also has 6mm tape on the back, and then I will use a little bit of Zig 2A glue pen on the handle to get that to stick down nicely, and I'll overlap the whipped cream just a bit with that. The whipped cream drip line, I've got some 6mm and 3mm tape on the back of that, and then I use liquid glue where the tape doesn't fit. And that goes across the front top edge of the mug, and then I'll use some liquid glue to adhere the steam curl down as you see there. And I'll set a block on that for a second. Then I've got foam tape on the back of the greeting, so I'm just pressing that down in the lower middle of the card. And so that is the basic components of the card done and assembled. And I will assemble the second card using the exact same method. Now, to add a little bit of detailing, I decided to outline all of the elements on this card with a black micron pen. And then on the darker card base, I went around the mug and then added those little details on the whipped cream. Then I also highlighted some areas of the whipped cream top and the drip lines with my clear Spectrum Noir sparkle marker. Gotta have a little glitter on the card, right? And then to help tie in the red color and give it a little bit more of a festive feel, I added a few red and gold glitter dots around on the background just to help make your eye move around the card and kind of pull that red color in and have it make a little more sense. And those are the completed cards, and hopefully you can see the sparkle on the whipped cream. Not sure if you can on the video, but it does look pretty good in real life. And so there's a good look at the dark background, and then here's a look at the light background, and you can see how the snowflakes are different on each card, but how it really works to give you 2-for-1 with that alcohol lift ink. So really, really fun. And I also love that die set. It's super cute and very whimsical. So hopefully I've inspired you to check out the die set as well as the alcohol inks. If you have not tried alcohol inks with Yupo, you've got to do it. And that lift ink is pretty awesome. Thanks so much for watching. If you liked the video, please give me a thumbs up and leave me a comment because I love getting comments. If you've not subscribed to my channel yet, I would appreciate it if you do that as well. Thank you so much and have an amazing holiday season.